the one thing that George Pickens and Micah Parsons have in common is they're represented by the same agent.
Yes.
David Mulugheta.
Right.
That was something, as Pickens began to ascend last year, that was something that we were talking about. It's going to be Jerry versus David round 2. Here's Jones from his Friday bus session on wanting to keep Pickens around and negotiating with David Mulugheta or negotiating directly with Pickens, as the case may be. Here's Jerry.
Regarding his representation, I can clearly work with his agent, not clearly to you, but clearly to me. I have no issues. We haven't met, as you well know, but we haven't met. But to the end that we can have discussion about him and other players that he represents. We understand the angst that's there, how he's representing and his goals of maximizing the dollars. And he clearly is accomplished enough to know the alternative to that is our job of managing the club and the salary cap and getting as much mileage out of the cap as we can. No mistake about how much we want George Pickens to be a part of our future. And I would want all of our fans to rest assured that I have every intention of working very good with his agent.
Yeah, he probably said something similar about Micah Parsons at some point over the past few years. But if you do a long-term deal with Parsons, you're going to structure it in a way that reduces the salary cap number below $27.3 million, which is the franchise tag number. And you mentioned the market, it's 40. I went over the weekend position by position under the franchise tag, top of the market versus the franchise tag. For some of them, the gap isn't glaring.
Right.
For receiver,
glaring.
It's ridiculous.
Glaring.
For quarterback, it's ridiculous. For cornerback, it's ridiculous. For multiple positions, the gap is like, what in the hell? How did this happen? And I hope when they inevitably, over the next couple of weeks, elect a new executive director of the NFL Players Association and the NFL swoops in quickly with its proposal for 18 games, we can do this the easy way or we can do this the lockout way. I hope that the NFLPA, not that the franchise tag is ever going to go away, but good Lord, can we make the franchise tag better reflect the current market dynamics? 27-3. Who's making 27-3 that's an elite receiver? Who the hell's making 27-3? They're all getting at least 30, if not at least 35 at this point.
Well, yeah, I agree. There's some damn good receivers around $27 million, but not where George Pickens wants to be. There, you're in the DJ Moore, Jalen Waddle conversation. T. Higgins at $28 million, right? So, yes, it's good football players. But George Pickens is looking at it going, no, I'm the most talented receiver in football. That's what he thinks, and he has every right to think that. He's not crazy for thinking that. We know it. It's real. He's going, wait, Jamar Chase is making 40. I'm taller. I might be every bit as fast, if not faster. I just haven't been with the Bengals and Joe Burrow. You saw 1 year I had with Dak Prescott. Look what I did. He's going, wait, CeeDee Lamb's awesome. And I agree, CeeDee Lamb's really good. But he's looking across the field going, he's not as good as me. He's making 35. I'm certainly worth more than that. That's for sure. And then he can go to Jerry and with David Mulugheta and turn on the film and go, hey, look, Jerry, look, when CeeDee's over here and I'm over here, look at the defense. They all go to me. They all double-team me. Look, game one, they all double-team me. Game two, they all double-team. I'm the freaking man. And he's going to be able to say that. And there's going to be plenty of visual evidence to back it up. And that's where, the rubber doesn't hit the road the right damn way here with $27 million for a guy of George Pickens' stature. No way.
We had a fairly spirited discussion about this on Tuesday at the Scouting Combine. Shereen Williams, Miles Simmons, and I. Shereen believes CeeDee Lamb's better than George Pickens, and I reminded her gently that your film study suggests that Pickens is better. Pickens is more feared. Pickens is the guy who's demanding the extra attention and sometimes beating it.
Definitely.
Look at what David Flournoy did when Remember when
exactly
the second, like Lamb was out of a game.
He was out, right?
Flournoy just went off. Why? Because they were doing everything they could to keep George Pickens from killing him.
Exactly right. Was that the Lions game late in the year? I can't remember exactly who the hell they were playing there that we were with that game. But yes, that's exactly the point. You got beneficial looks. And
Ryan Flournoy.
Ryan
David,
got
Ryan.
George
David.
Pickens got double teamed everywhere. I think you might have, but regardless, yes, that's what a great receiver can do. He can open up an offense. He can command attention. He can make a defense almost predictable because they're so worried about what you can do. There's only so many defenses they can play to protect against that receiver going deep and doing that. So that's the value of that guy. But yes, George Pickens, his talent it's up there with anybody in football.
Yeah, and we saw how Jerry went on and on about George Pickens the night that he tore up the Raiders in the Monday night game, how it was poetic and it was like an opera, which makes absolutely no sense. It was the Detroit game, December 4, 9 catches for 115 yards for Ryan Flournoy, because was that when CeeDee Lamb got a concussion?
Yeah. Lamb was going off, too. They were so worried about George Pickens. Lamb was going off. Then he got hurt. And then they were like, let's go all in more on stopping Pickens. And Flournoy's like, I'm not that bad. I can still get open here, too. And he tore them apart. And Lamb, even though he didn't play the whole game, I think he had like 100 yards at halftime before he got hurt. And Flournoy took advantage of the second half and got 100 yards in the second half of the football game.
6 for 121 for Lamb that night. And that's funny. You know, it feels like it was forever ago. It was 3 months ago. And it was that Thursday night game after Thanksgiving. And that's when I was climbing aboard the Cowboys bandwagon.
Yeah, we know.
That's when I was starting to think,
Eagles, Cowboys.
The Cowboys could do something this year.
You were like the Village Bicycle there for a while. You were looking for everybody to give you a ride.
I'm like Snoop. You send me the jersey, I'll wear it, baby.
Yeah. Okay.
But, well, hey, I wanted to see George Pickens flourish because I've been an early adopter.
You were.
Of George Pickens, and I believe that his talents were wasted. We had the conversation last week about how, he's got, and this is the problem, and I'm glad we came back here. What he needs to do, I think back to the Eric Burkhart manifesto when Kyler Murray was up for a new contract. Not that I would recommend a single-spaced, small font, you need a microscope to read it, tweet. Remember that?
Yes.
That thing that was like, a million reasons why Kyler Murray won't play unless he gets a new contract. But you got to do something now to get everyone's attention, and you have to explain it in a very clear and compelling way. The problem is, because Pickens' reputation took a hit during his time in Pittsburgh, it's going to be hard for him to do it. And my position is any great receiver that was playing for the Steelers from 2022 through 2024 would be viewed the same way. Randy Moss would be viewed the same way because he would have eventually lost his mind and or his shit if he was catching passes from Kenny Pickett, Justin Fields, and Russell Wilson, and they weren't throwing to him as often as they could.
No, you're right.
And they weren't showcasing him in the offense the way they should have.
I don't disagree.
You have an elite talent that you're not using. At some point, that guy is going to say, what the hell is going on here?
Yes, I think you're totally right about that. I think every top receiver just about in the history of time would have won crazy in there in Pittsburgh and not getting the ball. The only one I think that I think of when you said it, I go, Larry Fitzgerald would have found a nice way to quietly keep it to himself.
He just would have retired.
Right?
He just would have retired.
But everybody else, whether it's T.O., Antonio Brown, whoever, Mike Evans in his prime, they all would have been annoyed with how they were used with Pittsburgh in a similar situation to George Pickens.
But that works against him now because that's what's going to happen. And Shereen and I argued a little bit.
Good.
Because she brought up, oh, he was fined multiple times. It's like, well, I haven't even multiple like that. Like, let's not fall for the Cowboys' effort to engage in PR.
Yes.
Right. And see, that's the thing. They either value this guy and want him on the team, or they don't. And I would say to you, Jerry, if you truly value this guy, don't play games. You don't have to win every negotiation. Sometimes the win is properly paying a player to the point where he's excited to be there and he's motivated to get everything out of his ability, and he's going to go all out and all in the traditional way, not the way that you made us think that it meant. But he's going to be as happy as he can be, because you're right. He's not going to play for 27, and if he does show up for 27, what's he going to do?
Yeah.
Oh, I have a hamstring injury.
He's going to make life
my
hard.
back's stiff. And he's going to just kick the can through 2026 and do it all over again next year.
I think so, too. That's again, bring us full circle here. I know we got to go to break and all that. But, yeah, that's where they got to figure out this situation first before they can sit there and say, hey, we're going to spend big in free agency and do whatever. They got to figure out how much money they're going to allot towards him. And, of course, that looks like if, George Pickens has his way, it's going to be north of $40 million a year.
And I'm telling you, at some point, not right now, maybe not next year, the over-under is a year and a half. They're going to have to choose between Pickens and CeeDee Lamb.
Yeah, are you asking me?
No, I made the point, and I wanted to see what your reaction is.
But
my point is, at some point in the next 2 years, they're going to have to choose between one or the other, like they did with Amari Cooper and CeeDee Lamb.
Definitely. Right, yes. And as it stands right now and where they are, I mean, you know who I think's more talented. Now, off the field, and will you be a professional and all of those type of things, those are things that they're going to know better than me, for sure. But what we saw this year is they love him. They've been saying they love him, and he certainly seemed to fit into that Dallas Cowboy culture.
My question is, are they equipped to make a reliable and accurate decision based upon the available information as to whether he can be trusted with the kind of contract that would put all the eggs in the George Pickens basket?
Yeah.
Can he be? They're the only ones who are in a position to do it. Can they do it? Will they make a good decision, yes or no, when the time comes to choose between Pickens and Lamb? But I think between the two, hell, the stuff that Jerry Jones said about George Pickens, I've never seen him say that about CeeDee Lamb. That's when I first thought at some point they're going to have to choose between one or the other. And if I'm CeeDee Lamb, when Jerry's saying all that stuff, I'm thinking, shit, he never said that about me. So there's a lot there. And the first question, can they make George Pickens happy? Can they get him signed to a long-term deal? That's going to be one of the stories of the coming weeks, and we'll see. I just feel like the Cowboys are going to screw it up. History tells us they're going to screw it up, and whatever the end result is, they're going to declare victory.
Yeah, well, typically this is the reason the Cowboys have been the Cowboys. We've talked about this a lot. The Eagles have been able to get out in front of these type of situations. They never let them get out of hand, and they never, cause problems with their football team. Dallas, on the other hand, seems to do this every other year, if not every year, and it affects their football team, whether they want to say it or not. And then it becomes a circus, and then Chris Simms says circuses don't win Super Bowls.
They got him for $3.65 million last year. I'm sure that's what galls them. Isn't 27 good enough? He only made $3.65 last year. That last point before we break, because I knew this was going to be the reaction on Twitter when I made the argument on Saturday night that the franchise tag is too low for multiple positions. Because when people see 27.3, they think, oh, what a shame. How will he ever feed his family with 27.3? But that's not the point. The point is, what's the guy worth? What's he truly worth? Is he getting his value? He's got a limited amount of time in his life to get this kind of value for skills that a team needs. You got to draw the line. You got to hold firm. And the fans need to understand that this is about getting fair value, because every dollar he doesn't get in fair value is another dollar that funds Jerry Jones' super yacht maintenance budget. Talking about busting the budget. You want to bust a budget, try taking care of a 250-foot yacht, $1 million a week, every year, until you sell the damn thing. Hi, it's Mike Florio. Thanks for watching PFT on YouTube. Hit subscribe for the latest news and analysis from Pro Football Talk.